A very warm welcome, everyone, for today's Saturday talk, Making a Difference, where we have Ms. Diya Badgel in conversation with IAS, retired IAS Alok Ranjan. And today I have got an opportunity to introduce both of these accomplished figures. Welcome, ma'am and sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, starting with Ms. Diya Badgel, she is the director at A.R. Jaipuria School, Alambagh campus. She is a passionate educationist with 20 plus years of experience in teaching, administration, and management of schools. She has a vast experience and expertise, having worked in some of the most reputed schools of the country. As a founder principal, she has set up 2 schools in Lucknow, achieving academic excellence. She has worked with village schools, helping them with strategies and making economical teaching aids, as well as providing sponsorships to the underprivileged. She has been supporting and working with various organizations for women empowerment and gender equality. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Alok Ranjan, a retired IAS officer with 38 years of distinguished service, PGDM degree from IIM Ahmedabad, and BA honors in economics from St. Stephen's College, Delhi. Retired as the Chief Secretary of Uttar Pradesh, he is an established leader with extensive experience of administration, cutting across a wide variety of sectors concerned with economics, finance, industrial governance, and others. An established thought leader and public speaker, he has given talks at various educational and business forums, such as the CII, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Author of 2 books, he also writes articles for being national publications such as Times of India, Economic Times, Business Standards, HT, and more, which we often keep reading in our daily newspapers. He recently published his latest book that we look forward to discuss today, Making a Difference, the IAS as a Career. It's a handy guidebook for the aspirants. While sharing his own experiences, he has provided a deep understanding of the IAS as an institution. He has given valuable tips and insights for cracking this daunting UPSC exams and how one can build a successful career in the services. I welcome you, sir, and looking forward for an interactive conversation.
Thank you so much.
Now, I would like to hand over the talk to Ms. Diya for taking it forward.
You are muted. I think you are muted, yes.
Am I audible now?
Yes, perfectly.
So we are really, it's an honor to be here with you today, and we are all looking forward to having a very enriching session. So I think I would start with asking you that you have such a wonderful educational background, and you have done your BA honors in economics from St. Stephen's, and then you've gone and done MBA from none other than the IIM. And after all of that, you did join the IAS. So was it always your dream to become an IAS, or was it something that happened in between? Could you tell us something about this?
Yes, I think the story is very interesting of how I came to write the IAS examination and join the IAS. Well, my father was in the government service. He was in the Indian Forest Service. And being in government, then you realize what kind of positions and posts the IAS officers get. So he used to keep telling us stories about the IAS officers and how at a very young age they get positions of power and status, and they can do a lot for the country and for the society. And he used to keep telling us this from childhood. So I can say that from childhood itself, there was this kind of inclination towards the IAS. Definitely it was there. It was there in my mind that someday we would write the IAS examination and join the IAS. So with this in mind, I went to Delhi University and I took up B Honors Economics in St. Stephen's. I did that. And till the 3rd year, I had no other career in mind. But then, at that time, there was suddenly the craze for the IIMs and all that started at that time. There is a year I'm talking to about is 1974. And everybody was writing the IIM exam, CAT exam to get into the IIMs. IIM Ahmedabad and Calcutta were the two main ones. And so, I was also persuaded by my friends and colleagues to write for the IIM Ahmedabad examination. And I did that. And I was very surprised that I got selected for the institute. And, mostly the people getting selected at that time also were engineers. And a large majority were coming from IITs. And I was a B honors economics student, but still I made it. And I was selected to IIM Ahmedabad. So then I went for IIM. Having gone there, then the things changed because there's campus placement and everything. So for a short while, my mind wandered away from the civil service as such. And then I, also appeared for the placement sessions in the institute and got placed and went to do a private sector job, corporate sector job in Mumbai. I was doing that. But while doing the job, then suddenly this thought of joining the IAS kept coming back to me. And why it kept coming back to me was because all of a sudden, maybe it was because of what thinking I had done over the years, I felt like I wanted to do something more directly involved with the society. It's not that people in private sector or people who are doing business are not involved in society. They are there, they're wealth creators, they create employment, they do a lot for the society. But being in the IAS gives you an opportunity of being much more directly involved with the people, much more directly involved with the problems and grievances that there are in the society, and you have the power to do something about it. Rather than sit outside and say, oh, this is not doing okay, or the government is not doing this, the government is not doing that. Here you are part of the government, and so it is up to you. You are accountable to get things done, and it is up to you to try and do something better. So this thought kept going on in my mind, and then I thought, okay, I think I'll write the IAS examination. And then I took a very crucial decision. I resigned from my private sector job. I resigned actually, left the job. And then for 7 months, I took up a shack in Defense Colony, Delhi, and then studied for the civil service examination and was fortunate to get selected in the first attempt.
Yes, and I know of that part from your book when you got selected and your father came to know. So he took out a bottle of scotch, which was there for 2 decades.
Yes, it had been lying in his trunk for more than 2 decades, yes. And he had kept it for just this occasion.
Right. So were there any challenges that you faced? You said you got through your first attempt, but while preparing, were there certain things, certain apprehensions? Because I'm sure all the youngsters right now would be going through that. So were there any challenges that you were facing during that time?
Oh yes, there were many. Actually, I must share with you that the scheme of the examination was different from what it is today. That time we used to have 3 compulsory papers. One was essay paper, like you have now also. One was general English, and one was general studies, or general knowledge, as we used to call it. Then we used to have 5 optional papers. 3 what we used to call the lower optionals, and 2 higher optionals. The 3 lower optionals were for IPS and central services, and the 2 higher optionals would be marked for the IAS and the Indian Foreign Service. If you qualify in the lower level papers, only then your higher papers would be marked. So that meant doing a lot of optional papers. So that was the biggest challenge. First biggest challenge, of course, was leaving a good job. Leaving a good job in the corporate sector, which was paying me very well. And then suddenly just sitting here and hoping to get into the IAS, and one did not know what will happen if one did not get it. One wasn't sure. But then there was some self-confidence that I know if I work hard enough, I'll be able to make it. So next was studying for 5 optionals, selecting of the optionals. That was a very big challenge at that time. I had done B honors in economics and then done my management. The management at that time was not available as a subject, and one was not wanting to take management also. And economics also only gave me 1 paper. And as you would say, out of this 5, and economics is, as I shared in my book also, quite a disastrous paper in the civil service. It doesn't score well at all under any conditions. So 1 paper in economics, and then the balance papers I had to take I took international law, I took European history, I took political science, public administration. So variety of papers I took which were new to me. So this was the biggest challenge, preparing a papers from scratch, so many papers, which I was absolutely new to, and bringing up to that level. And for the higher papers, you have to come up to the postgraduate level. So studying up to the postgraduate level, that was quite a challenge and involved a lot of preparation, systematic preparation, how to really understand the IAS examination, how to answer the questions accordingly. So all this went into it. So these were some of the challenges at that time. And then, of course, fending yourself in Defense Colony, Delhi was also quite a challenge. I got a room on the top of a garage and staying there and going out and eating food in the defense colony market and coming back, and then the whole day trying to do as much of studies as possible. I had a colleague of mine who was sharing the room with me, and we both studied together, of course. But these are some of the challenges that we did face. Yes.
I'm sure a lot of the people watching can totally relate to this. And this is so wonderful, this entire, the struggle that you've shared with us. Now that you've been had this wonderful career, and right from a fresher to a top bureaucrat of the country, there would be a lot of memorable experiences. So could you share some of the most memorable experiences with us?
IAS is a very diverse career. It gives you a wonderful opportunity to do a lot of jobs and relate with a lot of people and also touch many lives. So that, I think, gives you the maximum kind of satisfaction. One, of course, is doing your job professionally and doing it as well as possible and delivering results. That gives you satisfaction. And that I'll talk about a little later about some of the major things we did or major projects we did implement. But when we say on what gave me a lot of satisfaction or some of the anecdotes, well, they are simpler things. How small things that one did made a difference to the lives of the people. I still remember when I joined the service and I was a young SDM, I once went for a tour in the interior village. And to reach that village, I had to, there was no bridge. And literally I had to clamber over a log, which was lying on that, over a river or a nala, and then go into that village. And when I went there to talk to the people, they were so surprised to see me. They had not even seen the lowest level worker in the government any time in their lives. So first of all, they saw an SDM, they were totally, fascinated. Who is this man who suddenly come to a village and wants to know our problems? And when I sat down on the cot in the midst of them, the amount of love and affection that they gave me, and so much they, to the extent they were so simple, they even went to the extent of asking their personal problems, not even government or official things. Started narrating their personal problems and asking me to, solve them. And I felt so happy to be with them in a sense of satisfaction that if an officer really goes out and meets the people, this is the kind of love and affection that he can get. This is how he can kind of make a difference to the lives of people. So these are some of the incidents which I remember more than even the quantifiable achievements as such. Also, I'll share with you that a very interesting anecdote I mentioned in a book also, that when I became SDM in 1980, after passing the training program, you wouldn't believe it that I was assigned to a subdivision called Derapur in district Kanpur. And Derapur is 72 kilometers from Kanpur, and it was literally the Wild West. There was no electricity, no drinking water, no running water. So I was put up in a PWD guest house room, and there water used to come from a well, which was nearby, and one of my people used to get me some water. And in the night, there would be the lantern out there, in the light of which I would, read something or then eat my food and go to sleep. So it was a real adventure in 1918, living in this kind of a place and then trying and doing your work. But one was so motivated that one didn't mind it at all. In fact, one felt quite excited about it. And then came another incident in the same place when I was SDM, I'm mentioning, that there was a dacoit infested area. And Phulan Devi, if you've heard of her, the bandit queen, was operating in areas just next to this Burmai. And that Burmai massacre took place when I was SDM. It was not in my subdivision, but in the adjoining area. And another major dacoit called Mustaqim, I happened to come into my area where the police shot him. And I had to do a panchanama, as they call it, recording the evidence. And then I realized what all this dacoit menace is and how it is resolved, what is done. So many things one learned. So these are all such interesting experiences where one could, touch the lives of the people. And similarly, when I was education sector and all, I realized, I became secretary basic education. Many of my batchmates said, oh, you've gone into basic education. What will you do? You will look after primary schools. Oh, that's not much of a job. Why don't you try for industry? Why don't you try for any other more glamorous kind of a posting? I said, no, I love education. I like to continue in education. And there, I was there 94 to 97. And there were no funds and budget available at that time for primary education. Very little budget was given. Somehow I was able to persuade the government to give me budget. And within 3 years, when I managed to construct about 20,000 primary schools in the state of UP, that gave me such a sense of satisfaction, that I could make schools reach up to 1.5 kilometers of each village. And that these kind of things gave me so much of happiness and satisfaction. So then I'm sharing some such incidents. And in general, I'll say that whenever you can touch the lives of people, when you make a difference to the poorest of the poor, I think that gives you so much of happiness and joy.
Wow, that's so inspiring. And we only see the glamorous part of it and all these struggles that come, the behind the scenes incidents that you've told us. So you're talking about these were little memories, but like as your title of your book is making a difference. So could you share with us, your contribution and the difference that you have, made? So in a
So,
nutshell, in a little bit, if you could tell us something
I'll
about
do
that.
that. One thing that I must share with you all is that one of my basic approach to the whole job was to be accessible to people, to be as accessible as possible to people and listen to them. And this something was throughout my career, even as chief secretary, I kept 1 hour meeting people. And this gave me a lot of satisfaction and making a difference because they came to me with all kinds of issues and problems. And my approach was to be positive and result oriented and solve the grievances as fast as possible. And when I did that, the glimmer of satisfaction that I could see in their eyes, gave me a lot of hope and a lot of pleasure that this I've been able to resolve their problems and I've been able to make a difference to their lives. So even if you don't do anything very big, even such small things as listening to the grievance of each and every person who comes and giving him dignity and resolving his problem, making him happy, he knows that his problem has been solved. That gives you so much of satisfaction. This is one of the ways in which you can really make a difference to each individual and to society. I can now mention some of the major projects also which gave me a lot of satisfaction. I remember when I was DM of Agra, that was way back in 92, 93. Now, of my own, I decided to run a literacy campaign, to make people of Agra, as I said, education was my passion on this. So I said, make the people of Agra adults who were not literate into literates. And I took the 15 to 45 age group and we did a survey and we got 5.5 lakh people in Agra who were not literate. And believe me, we in 1 year, without much government funding at all, barely any government funding, we raised money on our own, used volunteers, young boys and girls as volunteers from within the district. And within 1 year, we were able to impart literacy to all these people. And then Government of India conducted an evaluation program. And then they found that these people had actually become literate. They could write letters, they could speak, read small books, and that made a difference to their lives to a large extent. I encouraged them to write letters to me, and the new literates would write letters to the DM. I was the DM, and I would reply to the letters. And when the postman would go to the village and say, Ram Dulari Devi, a letter has come for you from the DM. The Ram Dulari Devi, you can imagine the empowerment she would get, that the DM has written to her, but just because she has learned to read and write. And that motivated her to read more, to write more, to get. So that gave me a tremendous sense of satisfaction implementing the literacy campaign in Agra. Then again, when I was chief secretary, I can mention a couple of things very recent. For more than 2 years, I was chief secretary UP. Well, the Lucknow Agra Expressway, which was built in 24 months, in record time, 328-kilometer expressway with the excellent quality, where even Indian Air Force was landing its planes. And we constructed this in 24 months, coordinating the work of all departments, taking land from 30,000 farmers, and without a murmur of protest anywhere from anybody. And we were able to achieve this. This was another great achievement. Then, of course, Lucknow Metro. Lucknow Metro we brought in 22 months. Before that, people were saying that metro is not viable. Lucknow is not viable. It won't be able to come in Lucknow. There will be too many issues. But then we decided to go ahead with it. And then in 22 months of monitoring, when we brought the first 9-kilometer Lucknow Metro into the city of Lucknow and made it operational, what a tremendous sense of satisfaction that gave me. Then I'll also mention to you the Dial 100. It is the largest technology-based police system anywhere in the world because the population of UP is 22 crores. And this was catering to 22 crores of people, 220 million people. And you just had to dial 100 and we had deployed 3,500 vehicles all over the city. And a police vehicle with 4 policemen will reach you within 20 minutes. So now this is a big difference. If you have an issue, you just dial 100 and a police help will reach you within 20 minutes to sort out your problems. So these are kind of things which gave me a lot of satisfaction to get things done in a time-bound manner, and major projects, which made a difference to the overall development of the state and to the lives of the people.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's whether it's education, whether it's adult literacy, whether it is connecting people, making distances become much shorter with the expressway, whether it is the metro, I think you've really done wonders. And I think it's so apt to have a title like Making a Difference. Now, going on to the next question regarding the book, what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, the inspiration, actually, one thing was that I was always fond of writing. Right from early childhood, I had this ambition to, write. Then I enjoyed writing always. So as you see, even in my career, I did write 2 books. one on the district administration and one on this adult literacy experiment of mine in Agra. Based on that, I wrote about adult literacy. 2 books I'd written earlier. So this is the 3rd book after retirement. I was writing articles for newspapers. I got columns also, writing columns for Millennium Post, for Pioneer, for ET, everything. But still, I wanted to write something more, write a book. And that's how this thought of this book came, because there were 2 reasons actually. One, I was not keen to write an autobiography. So autobiographies tend to be a little boring, because you talk of only what I did. I did this, I was born here, and these are my relatives, and this is what I educated in this college. It's become so boring for others. People are not really interested in knowing so much of what you did and what you did not do. But what is more important, I thought, was that in private, I had done MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, so I knew, and there was case study method was used out there. So there were so many case studies that have been developed for the private sector. So much work has been done on various principles emerged from case studies, but no documentation of this kind has been done anywhere for public sector really, or for government. And government does so much of work in so many sectors, yet it suffers from a lack of documentation, because of which, the learning value of those of experiences goes down. So I thought, why not document some experiences of mine and of others, and try and evolve some leadership principles from this about public governance, which would be of help to any serving IAS officer or any other serving officer in the government. That would be kind of a guiding thing for him. And then I also wanted to write a little bit about those who wanted to join the IAS. I wanted the people to join with the right motivation. I was a little worried. I'll share with you, to be very frank, that when I joined the IAS, I was just 21. So when I was just 21 and young and fresh from the college, just full of idealism and nothing else. And the only thing in the mind was we'll change the world. Whether we change the world or not is a different matter. But at least that thing was there in the mind always. That was the motivation for joining the IAS. But slowly over time, I also started noting some difference. I started noting that people who are coming in the IAS now, maybe because they're coming in at a later age, after having done a 2-year, 3-year job or a stint, they know much more about the world than the wide-eyed, innocent look that we had when we joined at the age of 21. No? So these people know more about the world. And when they know more about the world, maybe sometimes their vision is also getting a little colored. And sometimes many people I found were coming to the civil service only for the sake of the power that it gives you. The power and the status and the authority and the policeman saluting you and the red light or the beacon light on your car and all that kind of thing. People thought that this was the be-all and end-all. I thought that I must talk to the young people and tell them, no, this is not what you should join the IAS for. IAS gives you the opportunity, the power that you get, you can use it to make lives so much better for people, for improve their quality of lives, to deliver public services properly to people. And so your motivation would be to do public service and not just be arrogant about your power. And that is why I thought that this kind of a book in which the right kind of motivation may be instilled in those who want to join the IAS and those who are already in the IAS. So I think these were some of the 2 basic things which inspired me to pen down my thoughts.
I wish I had this book at that time. I too graduated from LSR. I did political science honors, and then I went on to do my MBA. And I never had something like this which could guide me, which would motivate me. But I'm sure this book is going to be really a treasure for all those aspiring IAS youngsters over here. Going on to the next question, in all these years, from a fresher till now, you must have seen a lot of changes that have come in about in the, whether it is the selection process, whether it is the system. So anything noticeable that you would like to tell us? And
there's a lot of things that have happened which have changed over time. Of course, as I said, the whole system of examination has changed. Now the whole scheme of the exam is different, which I've talked about in my book. But all said and done, you still have to succeed in the competitive environment and be amongst the first 100 or so to be in the IAS or first 500 or so to be in the civil services. That still remains there. But a lot of changes have happened, some positive, some maybe not so positive. The positive change which I see is, even though we are very often, one generation always likes to say that we are better than the other generation. The younger generation, is not as good as we were. We had greater morals or greater values. I don't agree with that. I think the younger generation is also it's great, absolutely. They are full of energy. They want to do a lot for the country. They're very inspired, a lot of boys and girls. So I don't give credence to that thought that we were better than the younger generation or something like that. But yes, things have changed to some extent over time. The positive thing, as I said, was one thing in the IAS I noticed was now more and more professionals are coming in. For instance, now at least more than 50% of the batch, if I see, are from engineering background, which is quite a good thing in a way that the technological input is getting into the IAS, and many of the young officers, when boys and girls I found, they're very good at handling the laptop, the mobile governance, the creating apps to monitor development projects and programs. So bringing in a lot of new technology into the civil service, which is a great help. I noticed that. And the negative side, which has emerged over time, is now the more and more the what I would call the interference from the political level, which has gone up considerably now. It was there in our time also, but over time it has been going up. See, in a democracy, political intervention has to be there. It should be there because, after all, it is the political the person who has been elected. He is the master, and the bureaucrat has to work along with him. That is true. But the point of the matter is that over time, the interference has become very, very, in every aspect of governance, this interference has started. Transfers and postings, officers getting transferred in no time just because the political master is not happy with you, or getting a post which you do not want, or not getting the right of team, getting a different kind of team. You can't deliver if you don't have the right kind of team. So many things are happening, which I think is not a very healthy trend. And somehow some of the bureaucrats have also not responded properly to it. There has been now an issue of political alignment has started taking place. We were all very, at our time, we used to talk about political neutrality. An officer has to be politically neutral. He has to work according to the constitution and according to the rule of the law. But now slowly, either due to, deliberate intent or due to pressure of the circumstances, many officers have started getting aligned with different political parties, and they started behaving almost like, organs of that party. That I don't think is a very good trend to happen. And sometimes just for doing well in their career or getting good postings or going up, many officers succumb to this kind of temptation, which they should not under any condition. And the worst change which I notice is sometimes the politician and the bureaucrat nexus in terms of where corruption comes up. These incidents are also started going up now, and which is a little alarming. And young boys and girls, I've tried to caution them in my book to please keep away from this kind of pressure. And don't let yourself align. If there is a politician asking you to do wrong things, don't align yourself with him just for some short-term gain or something, because ultimately you harm yourself also, and you don't do justice to your career. So these are some of the changes, definite changes which I've noticed coming up over time. But then I still have hope for the future. I think things will move in a positive direction in the future. It will certainly.
So I think we all have a kind of perception that we made in our heads, and that IS is all, it's only the glamour part that we see. It's only the power that we see. There are a lot of myths with regard to this profession. So could you just throw some light on that, all these myths and the realities of this profession?
I have written a chapter on that, myths and realities. And I must say that one thing, as you rightly pointed out, is that most people think that it's an extremely glamorous career with a lot of power and absolutely unbridled power. There's nobody to check you. You can do anything you want. Well, it is not like that. You are, first of all, part of a system, a huge bureaucratic system. You're part of it. And there are rules, regulation, and processes which bind you down. Very often it can be quite frustrating when you want to do something, but rules, regulations are binding you down to that extent that you're not able to deliver to what you wanted to deliver. It takes so much of time, or it is so time consuming. So that is one thing which I think must be kept in mind when in the IAS in a career. Second is, you want to change things, but you cannot change everything again because you are not alone. There's a political executive is there. You have to work along with the political executive. They may have different ways of looking at things from you. The universe of the politician and the universe of the officer or the bureaucrat are two different universes, I've always pointed out. They look at things absolutely differently. So this is another challenge which you have to face while you are there in the job. So I think how to surmount this kind of a problem, that also becomes a major kind of issue. So all said and done, I think an IAS officer has to realize that he has to basically deliver whatever may be the situations or whatever may be the circumstances, and he has to change his attitude accordingly. But somehow, I mentioned that in my book also, 4 C's I mentioned. The Comptroller and Auditor General, the CBI, the CBC, the Chief Business Commissioner, and the courts are always breathing down the neck of the IAS officer. Any decision that he takes can be challenged, or there can be a complaint against him. Every day, even when you try to do good work in the IAS also, You'll find so many people complaining, so many allegations being made about you, somebody going to the court, somebody doing something, and you have to fight that. You start feeling, oh, I was trying to do something for the country or the society, and why is this happening? But then this happens. This is part of the job. This is the hazard or job, occupational hazard which you have to go through, and you should not be deterred by this. One should keep moving on if your goal is clear and you're very clear where you have to go, where you have to reach. That is to make a difference, as I said, title of the book. You must aim for that. And if you can aim for that, certainly nothing or no obstruction will be there to stop you.
Yes, so moving on to the next thing, when you're talking of, we're clearing a lot of these myths, and this also comes with regard to what are the essential qualities. There are so many of us who are wanting to become IAS officers. So what are the essential qualities, according to you, which a person must have to be able to sustain and be able to do justice to this profession?
Yeah, I know. As I mentioned in my book, I think ultimately I came down to three qualities, which are very, I realized over my experience that this job involves dealing with people. You have to handle people as well as you can because you're working for them and you're there to resolve the problems and grievances. So I found that one perception about the IAS is always that an IAS officers are quite arrogant. That is a perception. That they are insulated. No, and they're insulated from the people in general. Many people say they are carrying over the colonial era heritage. They think they're like the colonial masters and all. No, and not people serving the society, but behave like colonial masters. Unfortunately, the IAS officers, many of them with their behavior, give rise to these kind of perceptions. I'm not saying these perceptions are totally unfounded, but these things have to change. The first thing that an IAS officer can have is arrogance. He has to do away with that. He should not have a swollen head. At any point of time, he should shed ego and become humble. Humility, I would rate as the number one quality for an IAS officer, because unless you are humble, then you will never be able to listen to the voice of the people, never understand their poverty, their deprivations. You will not be able to understand this. If you live in an ivory tower of your own, you have to come out of your ivory tower, come out of your ego shell, and relate with people as much as possible. So humility is very important. And along with humility, you must have empathy and compassion for the people. Unless you have empathy and compassion, you will never be able to deliver results. Of course, along with this, hard work, determination, never say die approach, and positive orientation and a sense of public service in your mind. I think and ethics and integrity, very important. I would rate this at the highest level of integrity is necessary for a civil servant, an IAS officer, to be able to make a difference to society. These are some of the qualities which I think are essential in any IAS officer, and they should be inculcated, because it is only when you have these qualities will you be able to make a difference.
Those are some very, very valuable points that you've given. And I think everyone can introspect and see that you have these qualities and work on them. So what message would you like to give all the youngsters, the aspiring youngsters who are watching this program?
My message is very simple, that if you want to serve the people directly and make a difference to lives of people, improve the quality of life of the people, India is still a developing economy. There's still so much of poverty. There's still so much of deprivation. You go to the villages, you see so many boys and girls with dreams in their eyes, but their dreams are dying away because they don't get the right kind of education, they don't get the right kind of healthcare, they're not getting the right kind of jobs or opportunities. So there is so much to do for the people of this country. So that is why the IAS is a career which gives you that opportunity. And my message to young boys and girls is that if you really want to make a difference to society, if you really want to work with the people, if you want to change the lives of the people for the better, this is the career for which you must come. And this is the motivation and inspiration with which you must come into the service. And when you are in the service, devote your time in solving the problems of the people, in working with them, in making their lives better, because that should be your aim, basically. This is the message I want to give to you. At all times, whenever in the IAS or preparing for the IAS, must focus on making a difference to society. Transformation role in the society is so very important. And once you do that, you will get a tremendous sense of satisfaction. Nothing else matters. It is not money, it is not power, it is not any material benefits or incentives which will give you a sense of satisfaction. It is when you look back in your career, what you have done for the people, that gives you a sense of satisfaction. Like today, if I remember anything, it's what I have done for the society. And when people come, even after retirement, to meet with me, and then tell me, oh, you did that for me 10 years ago, or you did that for me 20 years ago. I don't even remember that. But when they come and thank me right out of the blue, I feel so happy and satisfied that, okay, I could do something for people of a society. I think this is what my message to all young boys and girls.
So one question is coming up where someone is asking that during the very tough parts, how did you maintain your composure? How were you able to, overcome all those very difficult, challenging situations?
Yes, there was a lot of difficult, challenging situations, and they could get frustrating at times. Let me tell you, where you want to do something and you're not able to do it because either there's interference on some level, or you're not getting the right kind of team, or you're not getting the right kind of financial resources, or somebody is creating problems for you unnecessarily. So these problems keep coming up and keep cropping up. But the best way out, I was optimistic in my approach always, and always positive. And even when such things happened, I would, okay, if I'm not able to do plan A, I'll move to plan B. But then at least plan B, I will implement, not completely give up. I never gave up and went ahead with it. And I realized that sooner than later, you're able to get over the problems or the obstacles that come before you. It's basically a mind game. You must not lose your heart and mind. You should keep on persevering. If you keep on doing that, you will succeed. And it's there in every career. It's not only in the IAS. I mean, I can share with young boys and girls that whether you go to academics, or you go to business, or you're a corporate executive, or journalism, or anything, there are challenges which you have not been taught about, which come up, and which make you feel a little frustrated or upset at times. But it is your resilience which matters eventually. So keep on at it. Don't give up, because you know that you're in the right path, the goal is right, and keep persevering, you'll succeed.
I think there are a lot of questions that are coming up.
Yes.
So, Shivi, can you guide me as to, I can't see everyone on the chat box.
Yeah, ma'am, I have sent one question to you right now in the chat box, personally to you. You can first take that question up.
So there's this question. I am a working professional and it's something that I can't study. I want to fulfill my dream, but management of time is a great challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, if you are a working professional and then you want to write the IAS exam also, but it's a little difficult. I'll be a little frank. I said that in my book also. So when you're a working professional, the organization for which you're working also demands your time, and you are supposed to give time to it. And then if you're working from 9 o'clock in the morning to say 7 or 8 in the evening, you can't possibly say that I'll come back and work and prepare for the IAS after that, because you'll hardly get time and you won't have the energy left. So there somewhere you have to make a choice, really. You have to make a choice that you have to decide which career you want. And if you want to really go in for the civil services, it's a tough choice. I had to make it also. One of my senior ICS officers told my father at that time, I mentioned in the book also, that a bird in hand is greater than two in the bush. So people do advise you to, don't give up your career, but then you have to take a chance, because if you are determined, if you really want to do it, then you at least give 6 months. At least 6 months of undivided attention, totally focused attention on the civil service, and then you can really succeed. Because if you have your feet in both boats, then you're not likely to succeed. It's not an easy examination by any stretch of imagination. You have to put in a lot of effort. So by doing a professional job which takes a lot of your time and doing the civil service exam along with it, it's very difficult to succeed. At least 6 months you need to take off.
I can recollect this, that in your book also you mentioned this part where you were already in a corporate job and you left that, and I think it was your neighbor who found it really, really astonishing that you've left such a wonderful job and you haven't yet got into the IAS. That's also mentioned in the book. You all must go through that. There is Saurabh Tripathi here who wants to ask a question. So Saurabh, over to you.
Yes, Saurabh.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Do you suggest any working aspirant to resign from his job who is doing a government job?
It's a difficult choice. The government job, once you get into it, it becomes a very difficult choice to leave it, because, there's so many other things associated with the government job, and your family also has expectations from you. But as I said, even in a government job, whichever you will be working, it will take away your time. You have to go to office by 9 o'clock. You at least, even if you come back early, it will still be 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the evening, and then get back and study. It's very difficult, unless of course you have prepared beforehand quite a bit, maybe given 1 or 2 attempts beforehand, you have all the preparation ready, then maybe along with that you can take it. But still, I would advise to take at least leave for some time. 4 to 6 months or 6 months leave, you must take from the job. If you don't resign, take leave and then do it. And if it is not possible and you're really keen to get into the IAS, then yes, and first of all, assess your level also. Be honest with yourself. See your academic performance, see your level, because the best of the best only succeed. See that if you have that capacity, that you can make it. If you have that capacity to make it, then take a chance. I will advise, go ahead and take a chance, leave the job and take a chance.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Shivi, any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just checking. Give me a minute. So, Manvi Chaudhary, like she is asking how one can avoid political pressure.
Oh, very difficult to avoid. Political pressure, as I said, in our system, in a democratic system, the political executive is the master, the minister is the boss. So therefore, you can't avoid political pressure. The pressure would be there. But I have dealt with this in my book also. We must not always feel that the politician is wrong. When we say avoiding political pressure, we sometimes go to the impression that the politician is always wrong and we are right. I don't believe in this. The politician wins elections. He understands the pulse of the people, which we don't. Those officers, since they work more with paper and more on the offices, and they're not dealing with going from village to village, they don't understand the pulse of the people to the extent that a politician sometimes understands. So very often in my career, I found that if I'm open and listen to what the politician is saying, they come up with some very good ideas and suggestions and very good feedback for what is happening to the development programs at the field level. So one must not shun the politician completely. One must take his advice. One must engage with him. At the same time, if he's asking you to do something wrong, now that is where the political pressure thing comes. If he's asking you to do something wrong, it is your job to tell him that this is not possible as per the rules. And if he insists, then also you have to find ways of convincing him. And mind you, many politicians, I'll tell you, in my experience of 38 years, no politician really pressurized me to do something really wrong. Because they understand what kind of personality do you have or what kind of character you have. And they know if you are a man of integrity and values, they will not pressurize you, to do something wrong. And it may be worse situation comes in, and you do not do what they've asked you to do, they'll get you transferred. You don't lose your government job, and maybe when you're transferred, you do suffer for a while by going to some not a very good posting or something for some time. But no, sooner or later, again, you will come back into the mainstream. So that's how political pressure is an occupational hazard in the IAS. You have to face it. You have to tackle it with a lot of tact, but you have to learn that, and you will learn the ropes when you're in the service.
One question coming to my mind, which because I'm dealing with so many young children all the time, is about time management and taking, an exam as the IAS is one of the toughest ones. So how would you guide them about time management and how should they divide their time? Because I don't think it's only about, just your skills in writing and your knowledge, but it's also about your communication skills. It's also about your personality. So if you can give us a little guidance on that, please.
Yes, I know. Actually, anybody who wants to join the IAS, I think for a couple of years before that, he must start reading as widely as possible. That's a very important part of preparation for the exam, because that builds his personality and his communication skills and how he will tackle various issues or respond to various issues. So that, I think, because personality test, which is a part of the IAS examination, is all about your attitude, all about your responses, all about your communication skills, how you handle them. But then once the exam comes near and 6 to 8 months are left and you're preparing for the exam, then time management becomes important, is that you utilize each and every moment properly. And there, systematic study is very important. Don't waste your time in doing things which are not relevant for the examination, but focus more on things which are more relevant. Like this is an examination which you must do some writing practice. You must write, because you have to write always within a certain number of words. You have to express yourself. Learn to express yourself in that, with brevity, with a sense of balance, and bring out all the points in the way, in the 250 words, 150 words, which the examiner is asking for. So you must focus on all the right things and divide time between the papers. Decide how much time you will give to each paper and when. Like when you're preparing for the preliminaries, for instance, you can do a lot of preparation for the main papers also. Because many things are common. So prepare for those two things together, because the time between preliminaries and mains is not so much. Then you can give time more to the optional paper between the two. So you have to actually understand the examination very well, understand the nature of the papers, and then divide your time between them and work at it. It's very, very important. And after the written examination, again, when you face the personality test, read current affairs widely, analyze each and every topic which comes up before you, develop that attitude of, analyzing and handling things, because that is why what will help you in facing the interview board.
There is Ananya here who wants to ask a question. So over to you, Ananya.
Yes, please, Ananya.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It was it was a wonderful session with you.
Thank
So
you.
one question which I would love to ask you is that like we all have learned that civil services is quite exciting as well as a little difficult job or work. So I'm asking that how did you manage work-life balance? Like many days you must have some instances which affects you mentally or like, so how did you manage that?
Actually, you're right. One work-life balance. I know there is. There's so much pressure of work in the IAS also that sometimes you may tend to ignore your, health or even your personal life or family life. Which I think at every stage you have to keep checking yourself that maybe, you should not lose out on your health or not lose out on your family time and give time to them. And some of us are guilty very often of giving less time to the family, but we should do more than that. And health also, many people ruin their health by working overtime. So that work-life balance is important. Each individual has to be conscious of that, and then he has to work and do this. But that apart, was you rightly saying that even in the IAS, always there are situations which can cause you a lot of stress. And basically what you're saying is, how do we handle that stress? You should not carry it home, do not carry it, and don't lead to a situation where you are, not able to sleep in the night, you're getting too worried about things. You have to somehow leave the office, leave the things in the office and come back and then devote time to your family and whatever is happening. Then you go back next to the office, then again, devote yourself totally to work. So to get free from this stress and tension, you do things like meditation or do things like physical exercise or do anything, but do something, but don't allow yourself to get tense or stressed out, because if you do that, then it will harm you adversely.
I think that's also
Thank you, sir.
goes for all of them preparing, because you get so stressed while you're preparing that so many of them have a burnout just because they're just all the time at it studying and they want to crack their IAS exam. So this is a very, very valuable tip for all of y'all. Any other questions? Shivi?
Ma'am, as for now, there are no questions. I want to ask one question from sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, you gave this advice for the workplace that we can leave it for 6 months. Like for the condition is actually really very different. I cannot leave work because I am the sole earner and I cannot stop it.
Yes.
So although I have managed, like I have decided that, not even decided, I have started with as New Year resolution. So first I decided that I'll appear in 2022, which I was not able to. But then again, I have made a schedule depending on how much work hours I'm giving to the workplace after that. So is like, am I going right? You said, no, we need to take this, risk
You're right.
of leaving something.
The kind of situation you are in, you have to continue with the job. I can understand that. But then what you can do is maybe take a longer time period for preparation. Maybe not just 6 or 7 months, maybe prepare over a year or something. Because in that,
Yes, sir.
then you can put in the number of hours that are required. After coming back from work, you put in 3 to 4 hours every day or something like that. So that, or if you prepare over a year like this, maybe then you will catch up on the loss of time. Of course, the amount of involvement will be much harder and tougher for you, because your work organization will also demand a lot from you. And this
Yes, sir.
preparation for the examination will also demand a lot. But as you said, you've made a New Year resolution and you're determined to go ahead. Well, if you're determined, then nothing can stop you. You just have to put in a little more effort, put in more hours, maybe sleep a little less and find your way
Yes.
out of this. Yes, but this examination, what I wanted to say simply was, cannot be done in a half-hearted manner. Whatever you do, it has to be with total devotion, total conviction, with full focus. If you do it in a half-hearted manner, okay, I'm doing this, but by the way, I'll put in a couple of hours and prepare for the civil service also, then it doesn't happen. That's what I want to say.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We have one more question that is from Bipin Saluja. So he is asking, are highly educated people like you are still preparing for IAS?
Are still preparing. Yes,
Yeah.
even in the current batch of the IAS, a lot of IIT students who are getting selected, even MBA students who IIMs are getting selected. So, I mean, a lot of people are still opting for the civil services as a career, and I see no reason why they should not, because, that education is of great value. What you asked me, when I joined the IAS, everybody right through my career, I was fed up of this question. They used to ask me this question, oh, you did your MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, why did you join the IAS? You would have got, today you would have been drawing 1 crore salary. What are you doing out here? So I said, okay, that's all right. I had a choice I made, and I'm not unhappy about my choice at all. And a basic thing I said was that whatever I learned in my management institute, I could apply those basic principles of leadership and management to my job in the civil service and administration also. So it's not that it is all wasted or any such thing. And whatever higher education or quality education you get helps you in handling your job better, looking at it more innovatively, with a greater perspective, and somehow you can make things happen much better than others.
I think it's all about a holistic approach, and I think it's very important now that you have to have this proper balance, and that's what is going to help you crack the IAS exam, and it's going to further help you in, becoming a very successful and accomplished IAS officer like Sir here with us. Any other questions?
We have one more question from Ananya. So, as you told her about the ways to handle political pressure, apart from like the aim that you decided, what were the qualities that you included when you were, when you had to handle this political pressure around you?
I actually adopted a very simple method. My simple method was always be courteous and polite to the politician. He deserves that because he's elected by the people, and in democracy he represents the people. So I never, was discourteous or any such thing. I never arrogant or that kind of my behavior with them. At the same time, I always found that a politician has got a tremendous amount of common sense. Even if he's not as educated as you might be, he might have not have done MBA from IIM. He may be just a graduate from somewhere or something. But he has got a lot of common sense. This much I'll share with you. And when he puts forward some things, you just have to explain things to them. And I found that most ministers would go by my advice. When I would tell them that this is not right, it cannot be done this way, but okay, if you want this to happen, then these are the ways in which we can make this happen. So he would accept my advice. He would go by my suggestions. You have to give him a roadmap also. Okay, because very often he wants to do something for the people. No, he wants to say like, okay, I want to implement this scheme for the poor, poorest to the poor, this scheme. And you might say, no, this is not okay like this way. But then his intention is that. So then he suggests how you should reach out to the poorest of the poor. What can be done? You come out with schemes and idea, and ultimately the politician also accepts that. So basically it is how you handle the political person, how you advise him. And then finally, if there is a situation where he is getting a little too tough, it happened once or twice in my life, never more than that, when there was a disagreement. So then disagreement went on, and as a result of which one had to face a couple of transfers. That's about all.
Shivi, I think there's one more question if you want to ask that.
Just a second, ma'am. Okay. So Mohak here is asking the most exciting phase of your career or an event that you would like to share with us.
Most exciting, of course, in an IAS, the most exciting is always the district experience. And I was fortunate to have been district master in 5 districts. So that was very, very exciting. And then my tenure as chief secretary. Well, as chief secretary of a state of 220 million population, you're heading all the departments. So you can contribute everywhere, whether it is health, whether it is education, whether it is industry, whether it is agriculture. So that gives us a tremendous amount of joy and a lot of satisfaction, I found. And then in district administration, at a very young age, you are suddenly the leader in the district of all the departments. And you have to coordinate all the work of all departments and make things happen. And the exciting things that happen, of course, I must share with you, are things like law and order problems. Sometimes they have to handle law and order problems, which I did when often once or twice happened, even that one had to resort to firing to control the mobs and all. Well, that was something which was a great experience by itself. The kind of experience you not get anywhere. It required complete leadership skills to handle that kind of a situation where and I'll share with you that when I was in Ghazipur and as a district magistrate, because of there was mob violence due to some anger with the police, and we had to open firing. One student died. So the mob was very wild on that. But I remember I got up on a rickshaw and addressed the mob. And when I addressed the mob, they listened to me. They believed in me. And then when I said, no, I'll do justice. And this firing was only essential to maintain law and order. There was no option. So they kind of agreed and they kind of gave me respect for that. And then the second part of the job was I went to the house of that person whose child had died because of firing. And I sat down with them and I commiserated with them. I said, this is what happened. And that family, even today, keeps in touch with me, even today, after 40 years. That kind of relationship has been built with them. So this is all the exciting part of the job is where you do things, you are involved with people, and you find that people are responding to you in such manner.
So, sir, I think it's not only your passion, it's your compassion.
Yes. Compassion is a very vital quality in civil service. You have to have compassion.
So one thing I would also like to ask, and we are talking about all the success part, but those who are not able to make it, how to deal with that failure, because it becomes a major issue and there is so much of pressure from the family. So what is your guidance to all those and how can they get out of it?
No, I think one should not view it as a failure at all. It is just that you wanted to write an exam, you wrote an exam, okay, you could not succeed. You will feel bad for a while, but it does not mean that it is the end of life for you or anybody. There's so many careers available now. There's so many careers. Now, in fact, in our time, there were much lesser number of careers. A person either became an engineer or a doctor or joined the civil service or management had just started or went into academics. That's about all. But now there's so many careers and I have so many young boys and girls taking up unconventional careers and doing so well in those unconventional careers. So I think one should not lose heart at all. Find out what your vocation is, find out what you are interested in, and do something else with same kind of dedication, and you'll find maybe you will be far more successful than you would have been had you joined the civil service. You might even get much more satisfaction out of it.
Thank you so much. And I think we are running out of time. Do we have any more questions, Shivi?
No, ma'am. Now we are done with the questions.
But I'm sure more and more, people will be seeing this and there'll be many more questions popping up. But thank you so much. This is going to be, I think, shared live on Facebook, and there will be a recorded session of this as well. So those who have missed it because of work or because of the weather, they still have a chance to go through this and get all this very enriching session that we have. So they will be able to also go through it and understand how to go about this, understand all the pressures and how to deal with it, and be also a part of this later on. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And we are absolutely honored that you have been here with us today and guiding so many, children, so many youngsters across India, all over the world. And thank you. Josna, would you like to?
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful session. We have Dr. Kirti Narayan here who wants to ask you a quick question. So let's have a last question from Dr. Kirti Narayan.
Certainly. I think she's muted. She's muted.
Ma'am, you have to unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
No, I can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I just, good evening.
Good evening.
Sir. And I have your book. I'm in the process of reading it.
Please do read it.
I just wanted to ask you a very, very generic question about the IAS or whatever that bureaucracy has been. This I want you to answer totally objectively. history, I'm a historian, and history has shown that bureaucracy is the only stable entity which holds the nation together, whatever the nation, especially the Indian continent and the entire ethos. And it's not only official, it's everything. So how far would you agree to it with all these various occupations coming up, and somehow this feeling in the people that the IAS hold is sort of eroding. But my thinking is that bureaucracy is the only stable entity in the country, and it over thousands of years this
Yes.
has been there.
You
So,
are,
as an objective person, not being an IAS person, how would you react to that?
no, absolutely, I agree with your statement that bureaucracy is the stable part of the entire governance structure, and it has been so over the thousands of years. And in fact, after independence, I think I've quoted this in my book also, ma'am, that Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, when speaking about the ICS, and the new service, the IAS, which is coming up, he made this statement. He said that after partition, there was so much of turmoil, there was so much of chaos. And in that condition, if the bureaucracy or the civil service had not existed, the permanent civil service had not existed, maybe we would not have existed or as a nation. And that the nation was bound together by the permanent civil service, which continued doing the work while all this turmoil and the political level was taking place. So this I kind of think is important. But the bureaucracy is stable, but bureaucracy should not become status quoist, is what my opinion is also. In the stability should not be equated with status quo. It should now, its role has to change. Its role has to become more of a change agent kind of a role, changing things in the society for the better. And that kind of transformation the bureaucracy needs to go through, which when you talk of, as you are of course a great academician, when you talk of the Bavarian concept of bureaucracy and all that, it is hierarchical, it is rigid, it is seniority bound, it is bound by procedures and rules. It is a structure which is not really amenable to deliver changes in the society. But not that change has to come about. So that somehow the bureaucratic structure has to be transformed or reformed, and bureaucrats themselves have to transform themselves from within. Because the IAS, as you said, they will continue to be relevant only if they perform for the people. If they perform for the society. If they don't perform, then the relevance is not there. So that kind of thing is what is there in the mind.
Okay. But it's a very necessary element of any society.
I agree with
especially, yes. Without it, there is no stability in the country. And this has been my experience while I've read history, that the bureaucracy is the only entity that sustains a society. Of course, the attitudes change, the necessities changed, the needs change of the society, but the bureaucracy is there, has to be there always.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. And sir, thank you once again. And I'm sure this is going to, really motivate so many youngsters now to go there and make a difference. So everyone can grab their copy and learn how to make a difference. Thank you once again, sir, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diya. Absolutely. It was wonderful interacting with you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a great pleasure to have you advising young people and students and everybody about how they can make a difference.
Thanks to all the members of your Lucknow Farmers Market Forum and everybody.